M- Mr. Jack, you got any more of them Cloud9 teams? Oh, you only have players this time. I mean, I mean, if I can't get an 8 ball, I guess I take some players. You know, I can't do this shit anymore, yo. Call me fucking Dave Chappelle. Anyways, so looking at the FlyQuest 2021 roster, it's looking okay if you just go off the potential of the roster. So we got Licorice in the top lane, Hilze Diodo, I think I'm saying that right, in the jungle, Palafox in mid lane, Johnson as ADC, and Diamond as support. Let's run from the top like we usually do. So let's start with Licorice, because really I don't think Licorice was as terrible maybe as public perception might have him as, or maybe the pro perception might have him as. I still think he has, some gas in the tank, and I think he could potentially come back as a top form top laner, because really when you think about it, the only people that were highly above him last split, in the summer was what you think of Solo towards the end. There was Impact, obviously, Broken Blade. Struggling to think of really a whole bunch else. To be honest, I mean, I would put Haunter up there too. I thought Haunter was actually better than Licorice as well. So I mean, you don't have a whole ton of names that are like completely stacked up above him, right? So I think really Licorice has a realistic shot of getting back, at least into the top 4 of what I would consider the best top laners in North America, right? So I don't think it's very outlandish to say that he could bounce back. As we all know, there has been some names that have bounced back before too, right? Like Impact has, he's had a small renaissance, or someday, of course, he's one of the famous ones who has had kind of a renaissance within NA at least. And then Haunter, I think people are just down on him, to be honest. And yeah, maybe I would have actually liked to see Haunter instead of Licorice at this point. But then you have to think, well, the whole, veteran type mindset, and maybe Licorice does have more in the tank than Haunter does. So I could see why you would go this route, right? So, with that said, what I like about Licorice just as a player is he's willing to improve, right? But he's just an all-rounder player when you think of him, right? He's pretty decent on carries, he's pretty decent on tanks, he'll do some engage things. So like he just does basically whatever you want, right? And I think Licorice is the type of piece that you get in order to use as a flex piece, right? Because he's not bad on carries and he's not bad on tanks. So you have him as like this fucking quantum state god particle. Not to say he's anywhere near a fucking god, but he's in that flux, right? So you could have him be this god particle, I guess, right? To where he could just take any position at any time and kind of help your team out and fill all the holes that maybe it might have, which you're probably going to have some holes with this team, given, all the other players within it and all the rookies and shit like that, right? So I don't really have a problem with Licorice in the top lane. I think it actually makes sense from a fundamental just roster building aspect. I think this is actually a pretty solid. So let's move on to the jungle. I don't really have much to say about Jose Diodo. Like, I really have no clue about this guy other than, his like Evelyn showing at Worlds. Obviously he was over in Rainbow Seven, right? So it begs to differ as to how these guys discovered Jose Dioto, right? And is this a fucking branding move? You know what I mean? Because I'm just thinking about it. First, they lost their brand in Wild Turtle, basically, right? Like Wild Turtle was the face of FlyQuest. And so now they need a new brand identity. And, well, if you were to pick up a lot of Latin America's fan base, right, which is, like, if you guys don't know, if you guys haven't watched Counter-Strike, for instance, with their MIBR fan base, it's fucking massive. Actually, there was some statistics that got released by ESC Charts, right? I think that's the website, where they revealed their Flashpoint viewership. And the highest viewed games within the Flashpoint League, right, which is that new franchise league, which has, teams basically having kind of ownership of the league itself, or part ownership or whatever. Anyways, all the top games are from MIBR matches, which means that this is a really big opportunity to have a kind of a brand tie with that entire fan base. So with that, I think this is a really good move, right? As far as like a businessman is concerned. But other than that, I have no fucking clue why you would actually pick this guy up. I don't know if there's something that I'm missing. There possibly could be, right? Because I don't keep up with any of the minor regions anyways, right? And don't even really keep up with Academy. So this is coming from an ignorant point of view. But with that said, this is clearly the obvious bonus, right? If he's a good player, great. You also have this branding aspect that you can build off of. If he's not a great player, well, great. You have this great branding aspect, right? So I think it's at least something of a fallback or something of a bonus, regardless. So, I mean, I can't fault that, I guess. Moving on, let's go to the mid lane. Palafox has been hype for a while now. Same stuff, as with basically all of the Cloud9 Academy roster, which is why I make the joke in the beginning, is that he won 2020 with Cloud9 Academy, right? Both spring and summer. So it's very obvious that a lot of these players are going to be picked up. Palafox is no exception. So yeah, give him a fucking chance, right? Seems to be comfortable on, mid lane control picks, which, that's, I guess, the staple for mid laners anyways is that, junglers, they're mostly judged upon how hard they can carry and how flashy they look, right? With maybe a Lee Sin or a Nidalee or something. Top laners, kind of the same shit as far as, how flashy are you on a Riven or maybe a Jace or something like that? How hard can you carry in the top lane? And with mid lane, it's kind of weird because that's not really how mid laners get picked up, which is very strange, to think about that. But it's like, how good's your Orianna, bro? You better be able to play it at least at a world-class level or something that we can rely on you to fall back on. Syndra is becoming more and more popular as players are realizing that her burst damage is very ridiculous along with her zone control. So, yeah, I mean, he's got the pool, I guess, for that. So, yeah, why not give him a shot? He had won Academy anyway. So, yeah, I have no qualms with this pick either. Don't have much information on it either as well, too. Johnson, I was incredibly impressed with, given how bad Dignitas was, because Johnson actually looked quite good, right? He was one of the shining points within that entire team. He had some of the highest DPM, gold difference at 10, CS per minute, and damage percentage out of any of the ADCs within the entire league. So it is very impressive to have those numbers on a team that doesn't do too hot, right? So I think it's kind of funny, and I think a lot of people see this in Johnson, but just haven't said it out loud, is that he reminds me of what Cody Sun once was, right? He was this pick that you could rely on, who would do a lot of DPS in team fights, and was just very reliable with his positioning, barring some Tristana plays. But aside from that, yeah, very young, promising rookie talent, and was led by some veteran voices. So I actually have high hopes for Johnson. I think that he's probably going to pan out. But, this is kind of a mixed bag of a team. And then, of course, you have him paired with Diamond, long time coming, right? Which, I mean, by the way, homie, just, I don't know, maybe do a name change or something for your SEO, because when you search up Diamond, LOL in Google, it's pretty hard to find. Anyways, just an afterthought. But Diamond, yeah, he's been on the grind for a while, so I'm glad to see that he's been given a chance. And yeah, really have nothing more to say. Like I said, I don't really watch Academy that much. So let's go on to the coaching staff, because Kanani, I've really no idea who this guy is, because he's just been more so over in minor regions for the most part. And I was looking up his Gamepedia, and it's weird because it's like I just saw him switch from jungle to coach to jungle to coach. It's like, yo, decide if you're gonna play or be a coach. You know what I mean? Bad sign for Jose Dioto if he knows what's coming for him. I don't know. Maybe that's worked in his contract or some shit. But yeah, I'm just very indifferent about this entire squad, because I don't know what kind of direction they really want to go in, other than that they want to try rookie talent. They also want to try different coaches from other places. And I mean, now I do know the assistant coach, Sharks, I believe that's it. Yeah, Sharks was over in EU before. I know, name seemed very familiar to me. And I believe he was in G2 or some shit. But anyways, so I could see that, and maybe that's proven and more of a major region. But really, this is just a kind of a large gamble, and I feel as though this is the type of year to where this is kind of a budget year, but balling on a budget, if you know what I mean, right? It seems as though obviously Cloud9 is going to charge a pretty penny for all of their academy players, right? Because they had won the entire academy year, so they're obviously going to charge a little bit. So really, I just think this team is a dark horse team, but don't worry if this year doesn't pan out or doesn't work out. They can always just take C9's academy players next year.